Donkey of the Day for Wednesday, February 7th goes to a middle school teacher in the Bronx named Patricia Cummings. Kids, seriously, when are you going to start listening to your Uncle Charlotte? What do I tell y'all all the time? The craziest people in all of America come from the Bronx and all of Florida. I could literally do a story from the Bronx or Florida for Donkey of the Day every day if I wanted to. Literally. Because people in the Bronx and people in Florida show you that it's levels to this thing called stupid sometimes. Now, Patricia Cummings teaches at a middle school 118, and she teaches social studies. And she decided that she wanted to give the students a history lesson on the good old American pastime called slavery. Now, it's Black History Month, ladies and gentlemen, and one of the main problems I have with America's version of Black history is that when white people teach us about us, they usually start at slavery. But we know that's not the case, right? In the words of the late, great Malcolm X, our history did not begin in chains. But that's where white people in America like to begin to tell our story. All right? They don't teach young black kids that our people built some of the greatest monuments ever, like pyramids. They don't teach that calculus and geometry all go back to African scholars. They're not going to teach you about the kingdoms of Kush and Mali and Ghana, where every day looked like a Black Panther movie premiere, okay? They're not going to teach you about ancient Egyptians who are no doubt Black Africans and who probably had the most influential civilization of all time. Whatever you think the fictional country of Wakanda was, our people were, minus the vibranium. Now, see, the problem with Black History Month is that this country loves to focus on slavery like that's where it started for us, when in reality, it should be a time to bring to light the stories of people from Africa who have contributed so much to who and what we are today in this society. But nope, that's not what Patricia Cummings did. See, Patricia Cummings decided to give these kids a lesson on slavery, and she put extra mayonnaise on it. Oh, the Hellmann's is heavy on this one. See, Patricia Cummings was teaching kids about the Middle Passage. You do know what the Middle Passage is, right? Mm-hmm. It's when Africans were kidnapped, stolen, boosted from Africa, and brought to America as part of the slave trade. Now, let's keep in mind that the kids in this school are 81% Black and Hispanic and 3% white. Quick side note, I would love to know how many Black and Spanish teachers this school has, because you can avoid problems like the one Patricia caused for herself if you simply have us teaching us. Now, some of the kids have spoken out and want to remain anonymous, but one of them said it was a lesson about slavery and the triangle trade, so she picked 3 Black kids to participate. And to hear what happened next, let's go to CBS 2 News New York.
At Middle School 118 in East Tremont, the Bronx, a notice about Black History Month is the first thing you see inside the door. But this year's commemoration is marred by controversy. Students claim 7th grade social studies teacher Patricia Cummings told several Black children to lie on the floor during a lesson about the slave trade and the cruel conditions aboard slave ships. When one girl laughed uncomfortably, Cummings allegedly stepped on her back, saying, "See how it feels to be a slave." Damn. Chancellor Farina told me Cummings has been temporarily reassigned away from students.
What's up, man?
Wow.
What's up, man? Why y'all just be trying to get me to use cracker, man? I just told you that the school is 81% Black and Hispanic, so I have one question. Why is Patricia in the kitchen on Soul Food Sundays? When it's time to make a nice quiche, call Patricia. You know good and damn well when you let Patricia make the potato salad, she heavy-handed with the mayonnaise. So why is she in the kitchen on Soul Food Sundays? Okay, the same way people have to take diversity interview questions at jobs, teachers should not only have to answer those diversity questions, but if you're a white teacher teaching a majority Black and Hispanic class, you should have to run those lesson plans by some type of diversity board at the school to make sure you're talking the right language to the kids, especially when it comes to sensitive subjects like slavery. All right, Patricia, why would you want kids to know what slavery feels like? You could have showed them the horror of slavery by simply letting them watch 12 Years a Slave. Okay, you could have put Roots on in the classroom, the old one or the remake. You could have put Birth of a Nation and showed them the horror of slavery, but also how the great Nat Turner fought back. But no, you would rather lay kids on their stomach and step on their backs because, truth be told, you wanted to break their spirits. You wanted to give them an inferiority complex. It has to be that, because I can't think of any other reason you would want kids to know what slavery feels like. Why would you want kids to feel that way, especially Black and Hispanic kids who will probably still have to deal with oppression and marginalization today? Why not give the kids some required reading about slavery and let them come to their own conclusions? As dumb as I am, Y'all know I'm not the highest grade of weed in the dispensary, but a simple Google search will take you to a HuffPost article, and the headline is 13 honest books about slavery young people should actually read. Okay, the article is in the culture and art section, and it's by Claire Fallon. You can recommend books like Moses, When Harriet Tubman Led Her People to Freedom. You can recommend Dave the Potter, a book about David Drake that I read. David Drake was an artist, a poet, and a slave from my state, South Carolina. Sweet Clara and the Freedom Quilt. It's a picture book about the painful images of slavery, but it tells the story of a young girl who hides a map to freedom in her quilt design. It was all kind of lesson plans you could have gave these kids other than laying them on the floor, on their stomachs, and stepping on their backs. See, I refuse to believe that Patricia Cummings, a middle school teacher making over $68,000 a year, doesn't know any better, and that she couldn't do any better. I could have created a better lesson plan for these kids, and my lesson plan would have actually had some redeeming qualities to it. I need Patricia Cummings to explain what was the redeeming value in this lesson. Okay, she wanted kids to feel how it felt to be a slave. You're going to lay someone's child on their stomach, put your foot in their back, and say, how does it feel? I'll tell you how it feels. It feels like a white devil got her hoof in my back. All right? It feels like I want to slap fire out of a racist, bigot, crack-ass cracker. There's absolutely no reason for this, no redeeming value in this lesson. And if you're wondering, Patricia Cummings was removed from her post for a couple days, but then she returned to class and was in school on Thursday. But now they have reassigned her away from children after the New York Daily News contacted the city education department about her slavery lesson. Some donkey of the days just sell themselves. Please give Patricia Cummings the biggest hee-haw.